Okay, so last time we left off talking about different types of edges. We talked about four different major types of edges that are tree edges, forward edges, back edges, and cross edges. So tree edges are the edges that end up being part of your DFS tree. So when you're searching through a graph, the edges that you consider for exploring the entire vertex space is going to be considered as a tree edge. Right? A forward edge is any edge that leads from that we have a tree, and in that tree a forward edge is defined as a edge that in your tree starts from a parent edge and goes to um, a child or descendant edge, right? Okay. uh, Back edges are essentially edges that lead basically the other way around from forward edges. So back edges lead from a child to a parent edge, and cross edges are essentially edges between siblings or essentially two descendants that are neither ancestor or descendant of each other. Right. Okay. So we will talk about this back edges a bit more and forward edges a bit more. So let's start. Um, Before I begin, any questions about what we have covered so far? Anybody else? Okay. So now when I say ancestors and descendants, we need to figure out that given a particular tree and given a particular DFS search, which nodes are considered to be their ancestors and which nodes are considered to be their descendants. Well, if we look at this particular tree, let's find an example. So if we take this particular example, in this scenario, we have A as our root node, and from there onwards, we have B and D as our child nodes. For example, I and J follows along as the child nodes for E and I as well, right? So in this scenario, we can always note one particular property about the pre-visit number and the post-visit number. Remember, the pre-visit number was the moment of first discovery of that particular node. The post-visit number is the moment for the final departure from that particular node. And I can only make my final departure once I have completed exploring my entire subgraph from that particular node, right? So we can note one thing, that if I am starting from A, then A would get a pre-visit number of 1. Now, once I am done completing, exploring all of my reachable nodes from A, then I would come back finally back to A, and then A would get a post-visit number. So one can actually say that if we have a parent node, then in that scenario, the post-visit number of a parent node will always be larger than the post-visit number of a child node, right? Because the child node needs to be dealt with first, and then comes the parent node, and then the parent node's post-visit number gets updated. So essentially, because we are using depth first search and we are using this recursive exploration strategy, vertex U, if vertex U is an ancestor of vertex V, in that scenario, pre-U or the pre-visit number of U would be larger, would be smaller than the pre-visit number of V, because V is a child of U. So we would visit V after we visit U. Then once we visit V, we need to complete visiting V. So the post-visit number of V would be larger than V, but it would be smaller than the post-visit number of U, right? Okay, so the possible combinations that we can get for these pre-visit and post-visit numbers are, we can have U as the root node and V as some child node from that subgraph. Then the pre-visit number of U and the post-visit number of U would encompass the pre-visit and post-visit numbers of V. Right?
What are those symbols indicating?
Is in the, so an open square bracket indicates a pre-visit number, and a closing square bracket indicates a post-visit period.
Oh, okay. I was very confused about that. Okay, got it.
Okay. So the opening brackets essentially say that this is when I start with U, then I start with V. Once I start with V, I need to finish up with V, and once I'm done with V, I need to also then at some point finish with U. So V would, the pre and post visit numbers of V would be entirely encompassed in the U numbers. Now, the other way around would be V would be the parent node and U would be the child node. In that scenario, it would be sort of like a back edge, right? So in that scenario, we would first explore V, then we would explore U, and then once we start exploring U, we need to stop exploring once we are done with U. And once we come back, essentially, then we can stop with V. Now, the other case would be that these are completely disjoint graphs in a forest, and V and U do not have any relationship whatsoever. And that would be sort of like a cross edge where we can explore V and we can stop exploring V, and we can start exploring U and stop exploring U without them having any child or ascendant or descendant relationship. Now, it is not just for forests, but it can also be for cross edges as well. So in this scenario here, we would first, so this graph had all these edges, right? All those dotted lines are also part of the graph edge. Now we start from A, we go to B, so B has a pre-visit number of 2. Then let's say we go to C, so C has a pre-visit number of 3. C stops, so C's pre-visit number and post-visit number become 3 and 4, right? Then we come back to B, we are still not done with B. We go to D, and D's pre-visit number becomes 5, and D's post-visit number becomes 6, right? And then we return back to B. B's pre-visit number was 2, and now the post-visit number becomes 7. Since B is a parent of both C and D, we see that the pre-visit number and the post-visit number for B encompasses the C and D values, but C and D do not have any relationship for parent or ancestors. Now, finally, we have A, where we have the pre-visit and post-visit number as 1,8, because A is the parent of all of those subnodes. Okay. Okay. So now that we have talked about edges and forward edges and back edges, let's talk a bit more about directed graphs. So a directed acyclic graph, or a DAG, is essentially a graph which does not have any cycles. Now, what are cycles? So essentially, you can imagine that when we had an undirected graph, there was no concept of any cycles. But imagine a graph where A has a connection to B. Yes. So imagine a graph where A is connected to B, B is connected to some other node C, and C is connected back to A, right? So there we have a cycle, right? So we can have such architectures in terms of graphs as well. And the main thing that we need to understand is there are two types of graphs when we are talking about directed graphs. One is a graph without a cycle, we will call those as acyclic graphs. And the other is cyclic graphs, that are graphs that do contain cycles. Now, let's talk about a particular property of a directed acyclic graph. So it says that a directed graph has a cycle if and only if its depth first search would reveal a back edge. So imagine what a back edge is. A back edge was, let's bring back. A back edge was essentially when there is an edge that connects a child node to a parent node, right? So if I have a back edge that connects to a particular parent node, that obviously means that I came from this exploration policy, and I was exploring from this parent node, and I came to this particular node C. And from this particular node, I can have, so if I discover that there is a back edge back to my parent A, which has already been visited, but I can also get to that particular node. In that scenario, this becomes a directed cyclic graph, right? So if it's a forward edge, then we are guaranteed that this is not a cyclic graph, because ABD, this subgraph ABD, is not a cyclic graph, because A goes to B, B goes to D, but there is no back edge there. A just again goes to D, and there is basically no cycle involved. A cycle is essentially where there is a path from the parent where you can go through other nodes and come back to the parent itself. that would be considered as a directed cyclic graph.
Is
Right.
there a case where you could start from a different node where a cycle would be generated and then, but from other nodes, it would not create a cycle?
No. So whenever we are talking about cycles, like you caught on to an important observation there, that different starting from different nodes often generates different DFS strategies. We will talk about that later, but think about it. Whenever there is a cycle somewhere, I have a, okay, so pardon me for my poor drawing skills, but the green blobs basically mean arrows. Okay, so here we have a cycle from A to B, B to F, F to A, right? And there we have B to C and edge, and then we have B to C, D and edge, and D to C another edge. Right, so this particular subcomponent does not have a cycle, but A, B, and F does have a cycle. So now note that if I start from C, I will start off with C with nothing else, and then I have to move back on. But if I start with D, I can go to D and C and I have to start again. But B gives me B, D, and C, and then we get to F, then we get to A, then we get to back to B. And that basically means that this particular edge now becomes a back edge, right? Because there is a connection to a parent somewhere. Now, if I start from, yeah.
Clarification on what you just said. So if you started DFS on C, you would not be able to go anywhere, right? And your DFS would just be C?
If I start, what would my DFS do if I start with from C?
Right. It doesn't have any
Yes.
a connection. So you would have to stop right there, right?
No, I'm not. So this is DFS, right? Not the explode function. The explode
yeah. Oh, yeah. You're correct. Right.
right? It's V plus E, right? We are going through every vertex in the list, right? So once we start from C, we don't find anything. We then would pick up another vertex, let's call it D, and then continue as we did, right? Okay, so but whenever we start from any particular node that has the potential of getting to a cycle at some point in this connected graph, then with whichever node we start from, we will end up in that particular cycle where the parent has already been visited before the child. Does that make sense?
Right. So if there exists a cycle in that connected graph, you will always find it.
Yes. So even if we have multiple other nodes, so let's say that we have multiple other nodes that all connect to F and A through some scenario, and they all lead to one of these three nodes. The moment we reach one of these three nodes, we will be able to detect a cycle.
Got it.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone? Okay, so that is the reasoning why we say that if a graph has a cycle, then it would reveal us a back edge, an edge that connects a child back to its parent. Okay, so DAGs for short or directed acyclic graphs come up all the time when we are modeling causalities. So that basically I talked about this earlier. So essentially I want one thing only to cause another thing, not the other way around. So undirected graphs are not able to capture that particular information, but directed graphs are able to capture such information perfectly. So let's say that given this, so our user gives you some graph and you have to figure out whether that graph has a cycle or not. So I need to know whether it's an acyclic graph or not. So what would that particular algorithm look like? And what would we do about, how would we go about finding this? But before I begin with that, let's just talk about one thing.